Hi everyone, so over these next few videos, although at the moment I'm not sure how many videos this will be, I'm going to go through one way of handling player built structures in Unreal Engine 4. So I'll start by just showing you what we're going to be doing. So by player built structures, I mean this kind of thing where the player can choose to put down like floor pieces or wall pieces wherever they want and have them all snap to each other to build little structures. Now we're not going to be snapping things to a grid. I should be able to put things anywhere I want, as you can see, and at any angle I want, so as to build little, simple rooms. So go there, put some walls on, and we should also be able to deal with handling multiple meshes, like cycling through whether this is a door with a wall with a door in, or not. So we'll have maybe a door there and there, window piece there, there, and there. And we should be able to get it to build things on multiple levels. So if I want to put a ramp in, I can do that. Go up here and then just fill this in as a ceiling with basically what is more floor pieces, like that. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing it from scratch, so I'm going to start a brand new project, third person. I'll pause the video while I do that, and I'll see you guys in a sec. Okay, so what we have here is a new third-person template project. It's Unreal 4.16, if that matters, and it's a blueprint project. Now, you will want to have the starter content added to your project, so if you didn't create a project with starter content, it's add new, feature or content pack, content packs, and then starter content, add to project, because we're going to be using the meshes, the walls and floors in there. We don't need all this geometry that's already there, though, so I'm just going to select in the world outliner everything under walkway and delete. Then we don't need the text actor, which is just this third person writing, so delete that. And we also don't need this spinning question mark thing, so the documentation actor, so delete that. One thing I want to do here is just select all four of the walls, and to get this to feel a little bit less boxed in, we actually don't need the floor there, just the four walls, and move them down a bit just so it isn't as boxy. We can get rid of the shadows, but that'll take about 30 seconds to think about that, so I'll do it at the end of the video. Now notice here, the way that the third person template is means that the camera is kind of pointing dead at the character, like the character mesh. Now if you remember from just now where I was showing you what we're going to do, I actually want there to be a crosshair in the center of the screen so that we can use it to position things. But at the moment, that crosshair is always going to be over the mesh, so we're going to need to move the camera a bit. So, with the character selected, go to Edit Blueprint up here on the right, open Blueprint Editor, and just dock this to the top. And yeah, you get the character blueprint with all the controls and everything in. We don't need to touch these controls, they're fine. We just want to go to the Viewport tab. Okay, and then here's where we're going to move the camera. So if you select the camera boom component over on the top left here, and then just move it up a bit in Z. So if I put it to say Z 100, maybe a little bit more than that, 120. There we go. Compile and save that, and let's just see how this looks by playing. Okay, so yeah, that's better. So the camera's now looking over the character's head, basically. Next thing we need to do is just set up some simple controls. So what buttons do we need to press on the keyboard to position walls, floors? What do we press to actually place something in the level, that kind of stuff. So if you go to Edit, Project Settings, then go to Input under Engine, this is where we get set up all of our control, well, all of our, what keyboard presses do we want. So action mappings are what we're after here, so add a new action mapping, and this is going to be what button do we need to press to start or stop building walls. So I'm going to call this one Toggle Build Wall, and I'm going to use just one, on the one key on the keyboard to do this. So the key for Toggle Build Wall, just search for 1, and there it is under keyboard. A similar thing, we'll add another one for Toggle Build Floor. And I'm going to put this on 2 on the keyboard. And then if you wanted to extend this with more things, ceiling pieces, roof pieces, stairs, you can just keep on putting them on 3, 4, 5, and so on. Next, what about when we've positioned a piece and we want to stamp it down into the world? What button do we press there? Well, I'm going to go for left click. So add a new mapping, place build item, and the key, well, it's not really a key. If you search for left mouse, it should be the only thing there, okay? Now 2 more. First of all, what if we want to rotate the part that we're placing? So, new mapping, let's call this rotate part, and I'm going to put that on keyboard R. Now, half the controls in here might have R in their name, so if you search for R, it'll be a bit fiddly. To do that, then close gamepad, and it'll just be here under keyboard, so there, R. And then last one, how do we cycle through meshes? So if I'm placing a wall piece and I want to cycle from solid wall to wall with a door, wall with a window, and then back to solid wall again, you know, that basically. So we'll call this one next mesh, and I'm going to put this on the right arrow key, which I think is just called right. Yeah, there it is, underneath keyboard, right. That's the one. So that's our controls, well, that's our input setup rather. What we want to do now is just set up some classes to represent walls, floors, and the kind of thing we're going to be building. So back in the main editor, do a save all, and then in the content browser, I just want to create a new folder to keep this stuff in. So right click, new folder, and we'll call this building. Now, even though we're only building walls and floors, I'm going to create 3 classes here, because, well, 3 blueprint classes, because I want there to be a class just called something like build base that the other ones like walls and floors inherit from. So we can put anything common to both walls and floors in base, and it also means we can take some shortcuts in blueprint later on where maybe we're positioning a part. We don't care whether it's a wall or a floor, we just care that it's a building part, so we can treat it as this base class then. So in your building folder, right click, create a new blueprint class, and this one's going to be based on actor. Actor, as you may know in Unreal speak, is anything that can have a position within the world. So the character is an actor, lights are actors, our building pieces are going to be actors. So we get our new blueprint. Let's call this one build base. And then while we're here, we may as well make the other 2. So right click again, new blueprint class, and this time we want to base it on our build base class. So expand all classes, search for build base, there it is, select and call this one build wall. Same thing again, right click, new blueprint class, search for build base to be the class we're basing it on, there it is. Make sure you get build base, not build wall, and call this one build floor. Now, just to finish this setup video off, save all, we'll go and add the meshes and things to these classes. So first of all, both walls and floors are going to have a mesh, so we may as well add that to the base class and then they'll both inherit it. So open build base, then up in the top left here, add component, and search for static mesh. There it is. And give this a name, just mesh, something like that. We don't care in the base class what that mesh is, it's only in floor and wall that we set the specific mesh. So compile this, save, open up build wall, select that mesh that we're inheriting, and over here on the right, now you can say specifically what mesh is it. Now eventually we'll have a thing where we can cycle through different meshes, but just to get this working we'll just choose one wall mesh for now. So if you drop down near static mesh and look for wall 400 by 400, that's this one that's in the starter content, there you go. Now what I want to make things easier later on is for the origin point basically to be in the center of the wall. So given that the wall is 400 across, we want to move it back in X by 200. So with the mesh still selected, go up to location here and put -200 for X. There we go. We can compile that, and then we need to lastly do the floor. So open build floor, select mesh, drop down to say which mesh, and it's going to be floor 400 by 400, I think it's called. Yeah, there it is. Now in the case of this, I want the pivot point to basically be, the actor's pivot point to be in the center of the floor. So given it's 400 by 400, we're going to move it back in X by 200 and back in Y by 200. So in location again, -200X and -200Y. And one thing is, we're going to need to move this up in Z a little bit, otherwise the top of this mesh is going to be sort of flushed with the floor that we place it on. So in Z, just move it up by 5, that should do, just so it's slightly protruding a little bit above this grid. Compile that, Save. Okay, so that's the initial input setup and these classes created. So what I'm going to do here is save everything. I'll start building the lighting just so it gets rid of these shadows, and then I'll see you in the next video.